Hi, this is Christy Lammers. Welcome to Rooted in Results. I'm with Lammers Ag, and I'm excited today to have the Beck's team with me. I will let them introduce themselves, and we will get this podcast started.
Good morning. I'm Mark Pieper, Beck's regional manager from Lincoln, Nebraska.
I'm Brandon Parrish, district local rep for Beck's Hybrids.
And I'm Brian Veech, the area team leader for Beck's Hybrids in Northeast Iowa.
So some of the things that first of all, welcome to Lammers Ag. I really am honored to have you here, our customers, to know and learn more about Beck's, why we made the wonderful decision to move towards Beck's as a dealership, but just to be able to kind of get some in-depth thoughts on, where Beck started, where they're at today, some unique things that we're doing, what the future looks like. So maybe, Mark,
You bet.
you start with that.
Well, first of all, Beck starts here today in Parkersburg. I've always said you can't believe in something until you believe in someone. So we're so happy to have you on board. That's how we build our brand of people that already have trust in the area. And then you can bring a brand in to build that trust within the growers. So we're so happy to have you guys on board.
Brian, what do you...
I would just state, I've been with Beck's for 10 years now, and it's amazing how those 10 years have flown by. And I know we've talked a lot about Beck's and how it's changed in your eyes, right, as a competitive standpoint for the last 10 years. And a lot has changed within the company. It's like if you look at the core principles of Beck's and what we truly believe and how every decision is made, it's how can we help our succeed? And I know that's what's really attracted you to Beck's, and we've had a lot of great conversations about that. But as we talk more about more values coming down the pipeline, like Seed IQ is one of those that I know we've talked quite a bit about. It's going to be a lot of fun, Christy, to have a lot of these conversations about what more we can do to help your dealership and ultimately your customers succeed over here.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons is our values align so well. The first time I went out there this is not what I thought. This is not what was in my mind for many years, because I just put it out there. It was like, it's a gimmick and, right, all these words, it's a marketing company, and, you just get the floor scrappings, and we might as well just be honest, because that's the way I am with my customers. And I know, I think I actually said that to Scott Beck and the leadership team the first time I was out there. They're like, what do you know about us? I'm like, this is what I know. So I think it's just not at all what my perception was. Obviously, I've changed the signs. We're going to be going 2027 season selling Beck's, and had some really good conversations with some of our customers already that have already identified on some of the things, the PFR, just the different things that Beck's does, to put the farmers first. So, Mark, what do you...
Well, ag is such a small community, and they're our friends from the get. None of us would be here if we didn't believe this was the best thing for our customers and our friends. And our vast opportunity with our germplasm from four different suppliers, 3 different suppliers of corn and our own, 5 different suppliers of soybeans. If we can't help our growers produce a better crop, we wouldn't be here, right? Neither one of us. So that's number one. The gimmicks that you talk about have always been in my mind, because when I first came to Beck's, every position I've been in with other companies always asked about loyalty programs. And they've always say, why don't we have a loyalty program? Some companies have tried to address that, but they address it with 1% or 2%. We address it by growers being part of our commitment reward. They decide how committed they are and how they come speed as far as how soon they commit to their whole farm. But we share in the values that we bring with commitment rewards with our anything from a combine to a four-wheeler to something for your backyard. So it's all based on what the grower wants to do very comfortably as he comes along with this, realizing that we can hit every crop, every acre on their farm because of our genetic diversity. So it all just works really well together, hand in hand. Those things that other companies charge, like PFR, we do, because we're farmers at heart. We want to know what's best for the farm. Then we share that information with the rest of our growers along the way. So it's not an extra charge. Our technology in the combine with our farm server, that's stuff that we just pass on to the growers because we use it. We want them to use it. And it's all just part of being part of a great Vex community. Like you talked about, the culture, we're a giving culture. And we're out to just help every farmer do the best they can. We share everything we can along with them. So it really works.
Yeah, that resonates with us here. And you talk about farm server. We take care of our clients, you know, and always will. And in the past years, I've just basically taken care of the field use subscriptions. And I would do that yet today. I'd do it if it wasn't for farm server, you know, being available to our farmers. But we already are so excited to be able to move that platform onto the fields of our guys. We've already downloaded a lot of fields and data. We're scouting on that already as far as being out in the area, because we're known for being out in the dirt. We know what's going on here at Lammers Ag, and the girls are so excited to be able to offer that to more than just, you know, the guys that maybe don't have the technical stuff they want in the cab, you know, the things that you have to maybe have additional to pay for. We'll be that support. So it goes along with Beck's and Lammers Ag so well. I mean, we just had this conversation 2 days ago with the two Haleys that work here. Yes, I have two. So I call them Hughes and Baker. But they're, you know, they hit, last year I think we were on 300 fields, and we hit each of those fields at least twice, if not 3 times. So we became an advisor here. And I think that's what one of the main reasons that drew me in is all the research and the data. And it was ironic because I had one of my customers come into me when I was having the conversation about moving to bags. And he's like, I actually read that PFR catalog in the winter nights when the snow's flying. And I'm like, you do what? You know, because I hadn't made that, you know, I'm like, oh, these things they're already using and I didn't know, you know, so there's so many things that I just feel, I know Bex is so far ahead of wanting to help. Yeah. Wanting to help. Yeah. Right? And I remember, I think Sonny always says, right, whether they buy seed or not.
Yeah, I got a great story for that.
Okay.
A longtime grower in central Nebraska first started out with the J.C. Robinson and planted that. Then he went to Pioneer. Then he went to Channel. And Zach Christensen, our farm server guy, went out and showed him everything because he was a platform early adopter for another company. When he showed it all to him, he said, "This is amazing. And what does this cost?" And he goes, "Well, it's free for our customers." And he goes, "Oh, so I have to buy seed?" And he goes, "Well," Sonny would say, "If you can help a grower, you help a grower." He called me that night. He went from 20 bags to 14,000 acres and came on board with us. And he said, "If that's the company I'm working with, that's the company I want to be with." Right. And it's just that. And there's no data grab behind it. The data's yours. There's nothing in behind it that says, here's what we're going to do with the data to help somebody else. It's all about the grower, and it's all about his data. It's all about him making a better decision, backed by Seed IQ, which is coming in here, as well as all of our PFR behind that. So it just simply is helping a farmer produce a better crop.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, it was, I do such a small scale, you know, I would joke with you guys, when I think at Lammers Ag, we were so proud of, you know, 5,000 acres of earth optics, or we do different trials of different things in the past, and I just pay for them because of the same principle. I wasn't selling Kim, I wasn't doing those things, but I wanted to know what would truly help them. So I think that whole alignment again. There's so many paths that we are aligned so much on that I can just see so much excitement from our growers. Also, a little bit change is hard, and I might let Brandon talk a little bit about that because he's in the area. But, change is hard. Programs are different. We're not necessarily bag price. We're not, just might as well get some of these things out there because I've had some conversations with some of my guys. Some of them are, change is a little bit difficult. We might have to go get some questions answered.
Yep.
And June 18th, by the way, June 18th, the Beck's family and leadership will be here. But I have also had conversations where some of my growers in their eyes were kind of relieved because I think they felt the same thing I did, where some of the things just we weren't keeping up with, I think, some of the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Cutting edge, meaning seed IQ, meaning, the farm server and how that's going to link, the PFR, the data. Like, I can't wait to go to Becknology, so I'm leading into a lot of things you guys can talk about. But Brandon, what have you, like in the area, you've been here?
Yeah, I've been here for 3 years, and I've been in the role of covering Butler, parts of Grundy, Bremer, and Blackhawk County. And, to Christy's point, the narrative of Beck's, whether it's how they came into the state or just maybe what our competitors say about us, is there's a lot of negativity attached to it. And so, as I've found over the last 3 years, is we've really worked hard on changing the narrative and the perception of Beck's. And a lot of these customers, their guards go up, but when they kind of let them down and actually hear what we are, and they go into it with a clear mind, they go, wow, that's not at all what I thought. And so I've been very fortunate to see that on a large scale in my district over the last 3 years. I pull into farms and guys say I would never, and then 2 years later they're 100% Beck's and they're telling their buddies about it. And so it's through all these things. And one thing I preach to my dealers is, Beck's has a tremendous amount of value. Scott Beck always talks about there's more value in a bag of seed through Beck's than any other company in the market. And so maybe farm server's not your thing, but maybe it's the working capital multiplier of commitment rewards that helps you. Or maybe it's, I've been hitting this yield bump, kind of like you have experienced in the past, and now it's our genetic diversity that helps us take your operation to the next level. Or maybe it's now we understand these hybrids more than any other company in the industry. And now I know how you apply your fertilizer, and I can best suit these hybrids to your acres and optimize them even more. So at the end of the day, why Beck's is succeeding is because the customer is the focus. It's not the shareholder on Wall Street. It's not the profit margins. It's the customer. And whether that's locally or nationally, we're seeing exponential growth in Beck's. And you see that, I feel, when people feel it's real. And they feel like, man, these people care. June 18th, Scott Beck is coming to Parkersburg, Iowa to shake hands and answer your concerns. And you don't get that with other companies. You have the head of Iowa, Nebraska sitting right here on the podcast. You don't get that with other companies. So whether it's me, whether it's my boss or my boss's boss's boss, we care about you guys and we want you to succeed. And I think the resources are unending. The value is unending. And when we can partner with people who are trusted advisors, we see amazing things happen. And I'm very excited for the potential and to work with these new customers to help take their operations to new levels.
You brought up a great point on stockholders. We spell stock STALK holders. We don't have to go to Wall Street, and we don't have to commit to so much every time. So it's back to the farm, right? It's about our customers. That's how we spell it.
You want to add anything to that, Brent? What are you seeing out there that's notice Beck's versus competition and just the difference?
Raven hit on it, and he's spot on. If commit rewards may not be your thing, maybe PFR is, maybe farm server is, seed AQ. with Beck's, what I enjoy the most is being able to be different in a very competitive marketplace. I get it. Its margins are thin, right? There's always, we're trying to thin down something or scale back something to make a few extra dollars on the farm. It's realistic. And what the beauty of Beck's is we get opportunities to help with every one of those. It's not always about dollars and cents. It's about value. PFR, we're so widely known. And that's one of the main reasons why I came to Beck's, is because I was big into PFR. When I was working in egg retail, I used PFR to help my customers. And I use that as a resource then. I use it, 11 years later today. And PFR is just the tip of the iceberg as we're getting into more conversations around seed IQ and product characterization research and what's going on behind the scenes. Where learn trials, farmer plots, choice trials, all this data is being captured and being housed in the seed IQ now. It is incredible what's coming down the pipeline here, and just an amazing resource that we're going to have. That excites me the most. I've been with Beck's for just over 10 years now. Seed IQ it's the real deal. This is something that I think if any farmer, any agronomist, anybody that truly cares about genetic gain and how to bring more yield potential, this is the lane to go down. I don't think any company out there has got the robust data set that Beck's does. And, conversations are definitely ongoing, but I would just say I'm very confident with the data going into the system, and it's going to be fun to see CIQ kind of flourish over the next couple of years here. So you guys want to touch on any more?
Your comment on the data that goes in. We have 3 regional product specialists or product managers. Some brands, big brands, have one for the whole nation. So our guys are out there in the field taking notes, taking it locally, feeding that seed IQ, housing it so we can bring it down to matter about this farm. So that data that goes into that, the observations that are captured, the root reveal, the kernel reveal, the silk reveal, all of that is just going to help us. They say we start 500 bushel out of a bag, and as a farmer, I screw it up after that. And this is going to help us, I say that tongue-in-cheek, but this is going to help us capture every bushel out of that bag because we'll manage it better. We know how the product's going to work on that farm and the management practices of the farm. So it's just going to be phenomenal.
And you got me thinking, I think it's oftentimes, I take it for granted, the regionalization effect of Beck's. And I know we've talked about this, Christy. I live in Wisconsin, right? So that's 3 hours from here, Southwest Wisconsin. It's a different growing environment. Yeah, it might be the same latitude line, but it's
a focus.
Yeah, we got different focuses, sure. But I would just say it really hits you as far as regionalization of products. And like you said, boots in the ground in the fields walking. We've got the tremendous resources there. You pair that on top of the data and the research that's coming. That's what's exciting, right? Is you can really fine tune hybrid placement at a high level. Really high.
That's why you've seen it firsthand. That's why we could compete on any level. You pull on to any farm really, and I have no concerns about performance or anything. We get the jokes of floor sweepings or whatever they want to call it, but I gladly embrace it because we know these products better than anyone in the industry. And to Brian's point, we can place it, or to Mark's point, we can limitate, hedge our bets. So it's all about, handling risk is what farming is how can we mitigate risk? And Seed IQ, the data behind Seed IQ, allows our customers to mitigate as much risk as possible and without controlling Mother Nature. And it's just optimizing these hybrids or optimizing your acres to the fullest of our knowledge. And I think the exciting thing is, where you go look at Seed IQ today, in 3 months, it's going to be, the rate of technology changes it's crazy. So it's very exciting to see the big picture, the big idea behind this and where it's going. So
you hit on that regionalization, and that's really big. When I was with another company, you wanted to select a hybrid that would go from Ohio to Nebraska, and you wanted a big pod. So some companies don't pick the ones that just work for Northeast Iowa or just work for Southwest Iowa or wherever the case is. We don't care about that. You've seen our number of hybrids, and we have those because we have piles that are built for the local area, the regional area. And that's really, really big because we're not out again to manage SKUs or to manage piles. We're out to do what we can do best for the farmer. And that localized approach is really powerful for us.
I love the story that Brandon talks about wanting to keep a hybrid and fighting for that, and actually happening because it was in this area where, you know, it performed. Yeah. And that was probably one of the, you know, there's a lot of reasons. I always say that was one of the reasons, many, many reasons, but regionalization of products, even in Iowa, think about Iowa soil, so different. Yes. You know, even to come across Iowa and say, well, this one will work there, and we'll get more into that. We have Lee join us here in a little while, but that to me is such a marker of why it works. I think alongside of that, I talked with some of the growers I've talked with already, a lot of our growers, and others that are just saying, well, why did you move? You know, what was the reasoning? And I'm like, because the regionalization, the commitment to farmers, just the values that are continuously being invested, like the money invested, the values of farmer first, it's all behind, it's all right there. It's not saying, and then, you know, 9 years later, we're still saying, you know, and that's just industries in general. But where I found it so different was, wow, these things have happened and are happening. I had no idea all the stuff that Beck's really offered. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just like, everybody that knows me, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and, you know, going out to home office, I'll share this because I do have to give a shout out to Jim Zimmer, but I had shared some struggles, and I take it home at night, you know, and there's a lot of people that probably take their job home at night. I love helping our growers, but I got teary-eyed just talking with them about frustrations, passions, a lot of different things in that conversation. And I looked over to Jim, and he had tears in his eyes. And I'm here to tell you that to come to a home office visit, first of all, I was thinking, oh man, home office visit. I'm just going to throw this out because if people understand what I feel, I know there's a lot of that same question. I was like, I don't want to go through the history of Beck's. I don't want to walk up these steps and look, who cares? Okay? It is amazing. It is. I'm gonna take you through that day really quick. You go upstairs, you look at the history of the family, you look at all of the history and where they are today. And then we went through the facility, phenomenal. The house is still there, right? That Sonny grew up in. Is that correct? Yes. And in the middle of the home office campus, for lack of a better word, there's just the house. Could have been used for other space. Mm-hmm. But we go through the treating facility, you can see that through the glass floor. The fact that you treat the germ at that point, they're, you know, not 2 months ahead, not, you know, a year ahead, whatever it is, but you're treating it, you're taking that germ test at that point. All of these things started triggering. You know, of course, sat and listened to some of the presentation, you know, that was given that day, and a lot of these things that we talked about were on there. But sitting down with leadership after lunch and having Jim Zimmer and Scott was there, and Jim Swartz was there, and trying to think who else on the leader. Anyway, yes. Yep, they were all there, and looking over at Jim Zimmer when I had tears in my eyes, and just was kind of at a point where I wasn't really sure where to go. Because I always said to my customers, if I'm not having fun anymore, if I lose that passion, I probably will be done. It's just who I am. It's, you know, they know I did come from an ag background. I came from sales, but I found a passion in ag, but I also have always loved people. And, you know, to look over and see Jim, and he put his hand on my hand and he's like, I'm sorry for that. I got to tell you, on the way home, it was almost like, how fast can I get there? You just don't have that in the corporate world. Yeah. And that's beyond seed, that's corporate world in general. I mean, it's just the culture and the true conviction of wanting to help.
Yeah.
You can't fake that. I mean, there's no fake, like, you know, like there's a lot of people that I talk to even after that were like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, a lot of people would say, okay, look behind the curtain. I remember Katie saying that, look behind the curtain. You kind of go, okay, now they're really going to come out, you know, because they know I'm coming for a home visit, you know, home office visit. But is that, like, I call people now and they're still that same way. People that are willing to help. It's just, to me, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited to just not introduce, but bring it to who we can here in our area.
Yeah. And I don't know if culture is the icing on the cake or if it's the roots, because there's no question this is such a special place. And sometimes I think you get all of these things, practical farm research, seed IQ, you know, commitment reward, and then you get the culture. But then I realize none of that happens if the culture wouldn't happen first. Yes. And that's what I'm like you still. I've been here since November of 21. I still wait for some guy to crawl out of the closet that might not be right. Then I realize it's probably me. Maybe I'm the one.
Yeah, you know, and I had lunch with Sonny Beck. You know, I just, not knowing really anything, I'll be honest with you, because everything that in my mind was not that. But I looked at him, he sat right beside me and had lunch. He'd do that with anybody. It wasn't just because Christy Lammers was there. And I just looked at him and I said, you need to be so proud of what you've accomplished. And you could just tell, like, his whole thing was, yes, and we're going to continue to help customers. I mean, there was many things that I pulled out of that conversation, but I know that was one of the main things. And I'm like, this is magnificent. To put all that money into PFR, put all that money when he could be going, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just be honest. I mean, that costs a lot of money.
Yep. They live a humble life and they invest back. And I bought a vehicle, a pickup on our Beck's auction, 250 some thousand miles on it. Get it out to Lincoln and using it on the farm. And I'm like, man, this thing just drives like it's new. You look in there and they have all the service that they've done on it. And I've said, this is exactly what Sunny is. It's not a paint job. It's all the way to the transmission. It's all the way to the U-bolts. Everything's solid, even though it's 250,000 miles and it's a 2018 Ford F-150. It's all the way through. It's not a shiny object. It's not a chrome bumper. It's all the way down to the drivetrain. It's amazing.
I've heard Sonny, obviously a lot of folks ask Sonny, how did you get to the company where it's at today? And I love his response, and he will more often than not say it's all about investing in people. It's never brick and mortar. It's never a planned path where you're going to get to a marketing area at a certain time. It's all about investing in the people and then finding passions within those people and embracing that. And that's where Beck's has come from. I went through a training there a couple of years ago, and I got to listen to Sonny talk about what he looks for. And it's work ethic and passions and attitude and show up. And because of that, embracing that, employees are able to flourish and be passionate in things. And that's where commitment rewards came about, because it was an idea that was brought up within about how to bring more value. That's how PFR was brought up. It's how we bring more value. Someone had a passion in that, and it flourished. Seed IQ is a new one. Jim Schwartz has got a big passion in Seed IQ. Here we are with another value, and it's not going to stop, Christy. That's what the beauty of it is. It's the culture. It's the roots that supports that message for sure. Yeah.
Well, as we're wrapping this up, what if you could say a couple sentences, I guess, to the folks that are listening to Rooted in Results, what would you encourage them to do? If you had, one or two things to show them what Beck's really represents way here.
Well, I think Jim Schwartz talks about all the time, Beck's is uniquely different. And when I started, I tried to conform how Beck should do business to how everybody else does business. But I've learned in my 3 years that at Beck's we embrace being uniquely different. And I think being uniquely different today means serving the customer, unfortunately. And I just think my plea to the customers, the prospective customers, is, give us an opportunity to hear about who we are. This is a company, this is a dealer that genuinely cares for your success. A move like this is not made lightly on her behalf, and she tells me all the time, Chuck told her, if you change brands, you're dead. And so to make a change, and especially to make a change to not a major contender in everybody else's view. I mean, those of us at Beck's, we know what we have, but, my encouragement to them would be, give us an opportunity. Come meet the people at Beck's. June 18th, we'll have leadership here. We'll have support staff here. In August, we have Becknology Days. Everybody's there. And the goal's not to sell you. We just want to help you. We want you to learn about Beck's. Leave your preconceived notions of what we are, what our competitors tell you who we are. Leave them at the door and just come genuinely learn and learn why someone like Christy would choose to change her direction and why she chose Beck's. And I think you'll find, like all of us have found, why we choose to continually wear Beck's every single day, because we believe in the mission. We were talking about the culture and the foundation of Beck's. Their foundation of Beck's is honor God, serve others, and help farmers succeed. And I think I tell guys that all the time, when that's the 4 values of a business, failure is not an option. And we're growing 1 million acres a year. And there's a reason why we grow and everybody else is struggling. So, I think, it's an amazing place. And I too have been waiting for the skeleton in the closet for 3 years, but it's there.
You should touch on your journey as well, because 3 years ago, you were starting with Beck's, but it took you a bit to be to the passion level that you're at right now with Beck's. And I think any farmer can relate to that brand.
And I've experienced it. I mean, that's been the cool thing is I do a lot of reflecting on myself, but, I see it in our now customers. Like I told you, there's guys that 2 years ago said, I'll never plant Beck's, but now they're 100%. And so when you realize that, okay, I put a bag of Beck's in the ground and it germinates like everybody else. And it comes out of the ground like everybody else. And now it's tasseling like everybody else, and it puts on an ear, and by golly, it out yields everything else. And then that guard gets dropped a little bit. And we've witnessed this with you, like talking to some of your customers now, that I've told Christy this 100 times. I've tried getting her customers, and they wouldn't. I go, what? We're out yielding, we're doing this, we're doing that. But when they start seeing and put down their guard, like I did, I tried to break the system. I tried to get on every side-by-side I could to see if we actually did have good corn, and it turns out we do. Our manager out of his league could tell you a lot of stories about me calling him saying, you sure this is good? So it takes time, right? Change is hard, and change is different, and it's uncomfortable. And we're not here to force you into switching everything at once. We want to prove it. We want to earn it. We want to be a partner on your farm and your operation. And I think that's why we're different. And I think that's why Beck's is succeeding, is because it's a partnership focus. And it's not, we're not just a supplier.
I brought me to one more question, because we can keep going, right, Bart?
You bet.
I have had this asked, so I'm going to ask. Bex is only for the large grower. You're not for the guy that's, 500 acres or less. Or 1,000 acres or less. They're only for the big guy.
I've heard it the opposite way. I've really heard it the opposite way. Again, everything we offer it to every grower. Again, through PFR, through our through our trips. We didn't even talk about trips. A great little getaway for the winter, where we have 6 or 7 weeks of constant trips going back and forth to a nice warm area to get to know other farmers and talk about them all over the place. So I've honestly heard it the opposite way. So
That's what I wanted to address that, because I think it's good to go both ways.
I
That
think
we're here for the smaller farmer just as much as anybody else.
yeah, and maybe this is where I was in my career. I started out in research with Pioneer when it was Pioneer, and I will tell you how long ago that was. Then Ciba-Geigy had that great technology and biotechnology, and I went to them for 17 years, worked in retail. And I kept thinking, oh, you retailers, if you only realized you're selling DeKalb, which is over here, and you're selling Syngenta at that time, Corteva didn't have it. But if a small grower goes into there, and if he's buying from one dealer over here for this germplasm and one dealer over here for this herbicides, his volume is this for each one. Now you can hit every acre and feel really good about it for that grower, combine his volume all in one, because he doesn't have to buy from 3 other suppliers to spread out his diversity, genetic diversity. He can all buy it from a trusted source. So actually, there's power in a smaller grower because of that. And you can do it all together. When I came to Beck's, I realized if one of my friends don't buy from me now, I have to take it personal because of everything we offer, everything. So what is it? My body odor? What is it? what? So I have to dig into it a little bit more, because everything we offer, another company has tried to do a segment of it and has dropped it over time, right? Back when I was in the 90s, we had big events we did with Case IH and had grower farms. Well, that got cut on the table, right? So our PFR got cut. Trips get cut. Everything else gets cut. We just keep offering more and more and more. So literally for everything we have to offer, we hit them all. We hit the big and the small.
Thank you all for being here today on this episode of Rooted in Results, where it's an introduction of Lammers Ag and Beck's and why we're such a great team together.
Yes.
Appreciate you come from Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Brandon, local boy here in Butler County. But you'll be seeing a lot of Brandon and I, that's for sure. But we want to just make sure June 18th is our Beck's Lammers Ag exclusive event, where we want bring your friends, bring your farmer, next door neighbor, and we just want to introduce you to Beck's. Got a question? Great. We want all the questions we can. That's part of the goal, is to learn more about Iowa farmers, and as much as we can about all of the farmers, but especially the Iowa in this area, what's going on here. And just like us on our website, Facebook. Thanks for watching this podcast. We'll be back next time talking with Lee from Beck's and Brandon again on some agronomy and what makes Beck's different. Thank you.